What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's yours truly, Fitz City. Welcome back to another Go Battle League Pokemon Go video. And we're going to discuss how you can succeed in the Ultra League. I've already gone 4-1. Yes, I did Battle Reversal, and yes, I did win. Ultra League, honestly, guys, and I'm not kidding, this is my strongest league. This is the most dominant league and the most well-versed league that I have under my belt. I am very powerful in the Ultra League. This is my best one out of the three. So, I'm going to go over my experience and what you should use to counter this meta. One thing that PvP Poke puts out, which actually helps us more than hurts us, and I know this is only going to help you guys that are watching the video, which doesn't reach a lot of people. My videos don't get thousands and thousands and thousands of views, so if you're watching this, you are going to get prime time information that will allow you to beat the meta. So these are the Pokemon that I'm coming up against, and I'm sweeping them. Like I said, went 4-1. One team was completely outlandish, and I didn't have anything to cover. I can't remember what it was. But what I'm finding is people are leading, or they have Giratina Orgiform. And you know what? It's not hard. It's not hard to take care of it all. It's weak to Ice, it's weak to Dragon, and it's weak to Ghost. It's not hard to take care of it all, guys. Don't use this Pokemon. You don't need to use any of these Pokemon to win, but I will go over which ones are pretty good to use, and which ones I've seen and which ones I haven't in my 5 battles. So I see this, it's easy to take care of. Do not use this form of Giratina at all. Honestly, I don't recommend either of these, because you can already assume that your opponent's going to have one, and chances are they are. I have not come across a Registeel, and we'll come across that in a minute, or we'll talk about it. Because that could be an issue with the teams and the Pokemon I'm about to showcase to you, except for one, where this could be an issue. And of course, we know how to counter that, guys. Use a fighting type Pokemon. Hariyama's really good in the Ultra League. It's super tanky. You can almost max it out. Hariyama's fantastic. Heracross is okay. I wouldn't say the best fighting type. It's also weak to fire and ground, so you do have some very good options. Swampert gets wrecked by grass Pokemon. Now, here's something that people tend to forget. You're powering up Pokemon. They are leagues, and I mean leagues, more powerful in the Ultra League than they are the Great League. Pokemon are at their weakest mostly in the Great League, for the most part. Some Pokemon, max out just, over 1,500 or slightly under 2,000. Pokemon are still relatively strong, but they're still at their weakest for the most part in the Great League. So when it comes to the Ultra League, your moves are going to hit harder. Even though Pokemon's HP and defensive stats are up too, you're going to hit harder. You're going to have higher chances of one-hit KOs. So you should definitely look out for Swampert. Reversal had a Swampert, and I had Tangrowth, and it was GG's with a shield. I used no Charge TM. So Swampert's not hard to take care of if you have some kind of grass attacker on your team, or something that just doesn't take that much damage from its moves. I have not come across a Charizard, but we know how to counter that, guys. Water, well, basically water. Even Ice does neutral damage, to be honest. So Charizard's not really that hard to take care of. Rock-type moves like Ancient Power, stuff like that. I have not come across an Armored Mewtwo. That is a good Pokemon. So actually take note of that. You could use that in your team. I think you do pretty well. Ice Shard, Ice Beam, Surf, Lapras, I've come across one of those. It was not an issue, especially if you've got an ice on ice matchup. It's not that tough. Suicune does a good job against that matchup. I did really well against it. Snarl, Dark Pulse, I would run Acid Spray on this. You want to pressure your opponent. You want to lower their defense. You really want to pressure them. Snarl and Dark Pulse, you get Dark Pulse pretty quickly. I came across an Alolan Muk a couple times. I took care of it once. The other one I lost. Muk gets Dark Pulse pretty quickly. Alolan Muk is a good one. That's definitely one of the best Pokemon in this list. That and I think Armored Mewtwo's pretty good choice. Now, this is where things get interesting. Lick Snorlax is great. Body Slam is great, but it doesn't hurt that much depending on what Pokemon you throw. Again, like Suicune, it's very tanky. It takes the hits. So it depends on what Pokemon you're throwing out. And Earthquake, see, that could be switched out with Superpower. Superpower, that would be your coverage for Registeel there. So, it's very situational. So let's look at what Earthquake would cover during this meta if you're going to see most of these Pokemon. Well, it would take care of Alolan Muk. It would do pretty good damage against Lapras. It would do really good, probably one-hit KO Registeel. But other than that, you're looking at some mass neutral damage. Not even neutral, depending. Like, so it's very situational. I just wanted to point that out. Now, Venusaur, ice attacks. I'll get to that in a minute. Meganium, ice attacks. Ice attacks. Ice attacks. Not ice attacks, but probably anything else that you have in your team will probably do just fine. And not ice attacks, but pretty easy to cover. It's not that tough, you know. Swampert, of course. Gyarados. I need to test Gyarados. And by the way, I would run Dragon Breath, Crunch, and Twister. You're really trying to shield bust. This is a great lead. The reason why it's a great lead is a lot of people lead with this. Now, if you do come across an ice type, still a decent lead. Still a decent lead Pokemon. You're going to shield bust. You're probably going to get, well, you're not probably, you more than likely will get your charge move first, depending, but more than likely. And it's even if you're in this matchup, you can still do some decent damage and then switch out. So there's some example teams. Alright, so you heard me talking about, you know, Fitz, you're telling me how to counter these, blah, 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 why this meta is going to help us out. Why? Okay, well, I'll go over some Pokemon that you can curl your team around to make a fantastic team. Now, by all means, this isn't the best Pokemon to use, but because people are going to be following the meta, you can anticipate what your opponent is already going to have. Now, first off, Alolan Sandslash. And the reason why I picked this Pokemon is, well, first of all, you can max it out. I understand that's a huge investment, but for some people, it's not. That's weak to fighting, big time, fire, big time, and ground. But it has a lot of resistances. Fairy, dragon, you know, some resistances that you're going to see pretty commonly. And what's interesting is it's got Powder Snow and it has Ice Punch, ladies and gentlemen. And you can even give it Bulldoze or Gyro Ball. Very nice. But I would just go with Powder Snow and Ice Punch. You can spam that like gravy. Bulldoze, that would be your Steel counter. So that's not bad. And Powder Snow has a massive EPT. So that's a fantastic choice. Next up, Articuno. Articuno doesn't max out very much farther past 2500, so you're getting some pretty beefy stats. So we did Electric, Fire, Rocket, Steel. I did win a matchup against a Zapdos with Articuno. Now, where Articuno comes in is Ice Shard, which hits pretty heavy, with Ancient Power and Icy Wind. Icy Wind guaranteeing a nerf in your opponent's attack stat. So if you bait a shield with an Icy Wind, their attack stat still goes down. That means you can tank the next charge move without even using a shield. You're up 2 shields, they're down 1. Bingo. Ancient Power has a 10% chance to boost attack and defense by 2 stages, which is insane, and it's a good coverage move as well. Articuno is a beast, not only for the Ultra League, but it will be a very good staple for the Master League too. Mamoswine. Staying on that Ice train, because Ice does super effective damage to the Giratinas, to the Grassers, decent damage to Gyarados. I don't think it does super effective damage, but to the Charmer right there. So you can see why, and I've had great success with Ice moves. Now it's weak to a bunch of Pokemon, and that's an issue, but it's the moves that make it great. Now Avalanche only has a 45 energy, which is insane. And of course, if you have a Ancient Power Mamoswine, you have even more coverage. Powder Snow, coupled with Avalanche and Ancient Power, is a recipe for disaster. So, take that with what you will. It'd be an excellent Ultra League Pokemon to test, at least starting out. It might not be the best, but I could definitely see it pressuring opponents. Especially if they don't have a very good team to choose from. Drapion, fantastic Pokemon. You can max it out. It is only weak to ground, which is something you're not going to come across too much. The reason why I say that is the only ground moves you're really going to come across is an Earthquake Meganium or an Earthquake Swampert. That's the meta, right? That's what you're going to come across. Now, where things get interesting is how you want to run this Drapion. First of all, let's go over the moves. Sludge Bomb, Fairy Counter, Aqua Tail, spamming move, and also covers Fire, Ground, and Rock, right? And then you got Fell Stinger, which I do believe increases your attack stat. I can't remember. Pretty sure. Tell me in the comments if that's correct. I believe it is. A Dark, Grass, and Psychic counter. So there's a counter to Armor Mewtwo. Crunch. Same thing. And also, heavy damage to Giratina. Now you could run Bite, but it's got a low EPT. Out of the 4, Infestation has the highest EPT, but it also has the lowest damage per turn. So you're looking at a double-edged sword. Ice Fang hits hard, but it's very situational. Ground, Grass, Flying, and Dragon. But you're not doing anything against these types, which is something you might come into, especially Water. Does heavy damage though. Ice Fang does a lot of damage. It's similar to Bite, does heavy damage. Poison Sting has a good damage, or has a very low damage, but a good EPT. It's the second highest, but Infestation does the highest EPT out of all. So it depends on how you want to run this. But as you can see, this is a very viable Pokemon that has plenty of situational covers. So Drapion is, I would say, probably one of the most advanced Pokemon that you could use in the Ultra League. It's not easy to use because of the insanity of situations you have covered here. But as the meta keeps shifting and starts, stabilizing, you'll be able to guess your opponent's Pokemon almost all the time. Next one's Skuntank. Skuntank shouldn't come as a surprise to you guys that watch the videos because you guys had great success in the Great League with this Pokemon. And I think I was honestly, as far as Pokemon Go YouTubers go, I was the only one that mentioned this Pokemon in its greatness. PvP Poke didn't, Zionic, like any of the PvPers on YouTube, I found this Pokemon first to be great success in the Great League. And it's going to have great success in the Ultra League as well. Poison Jab, there's Fairy coverage. Even if you're not doing super effective damage, that is fine because the EPT is pretty high. And then you couple that with Crunch, good night. Crunch, and I would say Sludge Bomb, because Crunch even does mass neutral stab damage to the steel types like Registeel. And the thing is, guys, it's tanky as crap. You max this out, you've got a 230 stamina. That's insane. It's only weak to ground. So fantastic Pokemon through and through, and it resists those ghost moves too, and the grass. So very, very good Pokemon, always. Skuntank is a beast. Next up, Scrafty. We all finally have access to this Pokemon. Now it is weak to Fairy, Fighting, and Flying, but it does resist some very common Pokemon that we see. Of course, you're going to have to max out and give a second move, but that's okay. Now, where things get interesting is you can give it Snarl or Counter. If you want more EPT and you want to get Power Up Punch and Foul Play up as quick as possible, this is the way to go. But if you're trying to cover those Dark, those Ice, those Normal, those Rock, or those Steel, you might want to go with Counter. So, it still has great EPT, but not as good as Snarl. Snarl is broken, I think, in my opinion. Snarl is insane. But hey, it depends on how you want to run your Scrafty. Excellent Pokemon. And the reason why Snarl is broken is because of this Pokemon. 180, 235, 225, fantastic. It's only weak to Electric and Grass. Suicune is a monster, and it has Snarl. Suicune is a monster in PvP and will be even in the Master League. Snarl with Bubble Beam and Ice Beam is the most pressurized Pokemon I've used in the Ultra League yet. You can use Bubble Beam, even if they don't shield. It decreases the attack stat. Here's the deal. Let me give you a situation that it works out perfectly. You lead with Suicune. They lead with Giratina. Because 3 out of my 5 battles, they led with Giratina. I didn't lead with Suicune, but I'm just saying. If you use Snarl, which is doing super effective damage, and you get a Bubble Beam off first, because you're going to get your move off first, they probably won't shield, and if they do, great. But if they don't shield, you lower their attack stat. Here comes a Dragon Claw. You tank it, because first of all, your defense is high. Your stamina is high, and their attack's lowered. Then you come in with an Ice Beam, because it's only one more Snarl above a Bubble Beam, and they're going to shield again, or not shield at all, and then they're really in the hole. So, Suicune is a monster. It has great coverage. This one I just threw in just now. Flygon. Flygon is, you know what? I think it's going to be good. Now, it is weak to Ice, so if anyone catches on to these videos and you come across them, you can yell at me later, because you're like, Fitz, you said use Ice Pokemon! Well, you gotta have some kind of coverage, right, for other Pokemon. And the reason why I say that is Mudshot. Mudshot, and then you give it Dragon Claw and Earth Power. Because this is a fantastic Pokemon to cover the steals. I think we're eventually going to see them. You gotta remember, Melmetal is a fantastic Pokemon, and I can't believe I didn't put it on this list. Melmetal with Rock Slide and Superpower. You're going to probably see more of those. So we need more Pokemon that might cover those Pokemon that we're going to end up seeing once people start talking about them more. And again, Melmetal, great Pokemon. Thundershock, Rock Slide, Superpower, test it out. So Mudshot, Dragon Claw, Earth Power, pretty solid performing Pokemons, especially since it darn near maxes out. It's just slightly over 2,500, so you're getting the bulk of these stats. 2 more to go. Tangrowth, one of my MVPs. It's tanky. This is phenomenal stats, not only in the Ultra League, but in the Master League too. Now what's crazy is it has a ton of weaknesses, but it has key resistances too. Electric, Grass, Ground, and Water, and that's fantastic. Look at the moves. It is prime for PvP. Vine Whip, Sludge Bomb, Ancient Power. Now I know what you're thinking, Fitz City, why would you not run Power Whip on Tangrowth? I'll tell you why. Because the water types that you're going to see are usually Swampert. Or you're going to come across something else that takes, damage from it. Swampert, you could kill, which that's how I ended up beating Rev, was I could kill Swampert with 1 shield, no charge moves, with just Flying Whip alone. Because again, the attack stats are higher. It's doing more damage. So, I honestly, if you come across a water type, you just use Vine Whip, knock it down, and then use a Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb does fine. You see? It does neutral damage. Sludge Bomb does fine. Power Up would be more of a one-hit KO, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you should have more coverage than that. Use Vine Whip, Grass for your water coverage, as is already. Sludge Bomb for Fairy and Grass coverage, if you're in a Grass matchup. And then Ancient Power to take care of your weaknesses. Bug, Flying, Fire, and Ice. See? You're covering your weaknesses, and the thing is, this Pokemon will survive if you're in a bad matchup because of its tankiness. Tangrowth is an MVP in my opinion. And last up is Heatmora, because I need to talk about a fire type that could also cover the steel guys as well, and this is a pretty darn good one. First of all, you can max it out. Now I know this is a regional Pokemon, so for those outside the United States, I apologize. Or I think it's hemispherical, right? Whatever. So some people won't be able to use this Pokemon. If you trade it for one somehow, good. You give it Fire Spin or Lick, depending on how you want to run this. And look guys, Thunder Punch, Power Up Punch, Flamethrower. So you'd run, honestly I would run Power Up Punch and Thunder Punch, because you're going to get both of these really fast. Fire Spin and Power Up Punch is going to be great against the Steel Boys. Thunder Punch, if they switch out, into a very favorable matchup, you could get a Thunder Punch off, and they probably won't shield because they're like, whoa, he ain't going to hit me with a super effective move, and I have a water type. Joke's on you, bud. Your Gyarados is one-hit KO because you powered up punch like 2 times or 3 times against a Steel Boy. You knocked him out. That Thunder Punch is going to hit like a truck. So there you guys have it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have you had any success in the Ultra League already? Have you used any of these Pokemon that I've listed? Because you will not find any of these on Twitter of people talking about them. That's why I made this video, to help you guys succeed in the Ultra League, my strongest and heavily dominant league of choice. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already, leave in the comment section, and smash that like button. That's the boy Fitz. I'm signing off. See you guys in the next Pokemon Go video.